Asylum seekers staying in the city of Portland's Expo have 38 days until they have to leave. Right now, there are about 300 people living in that temporary shelter. Last week, they protested the conditions they're experiencing there and the stress of not knowing where they will go come August 16th when the Expo stops operating as a shelter. Good evening and thanks for joining us on News Center Maine at 5:30. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Zach Blanchard. Portland city leaders are feeling the pressure to not only help improve living conditions, but to also find them a permanent place to stay. News Center Maine's Sam Rogers joins us now with more on what plans are in the works. Sam?
Well, Zach and Chris, as you just pointed out, that eviction deadline is fast approaching. Short term, the city is working on opening a shelter in the Riverside neighborhood for asylum seekers to move come August 16th. But it's not going to solve all of the problems.
Making their voices heard. Asylum seekers protesting the living conditions of the Portland Expo, their temporary home for the last 3 months.
Any one of us living in those conditions and experiencing would have probably the same reaction.
Ruben Torres is the communications and policy lead for the Maine Immigrants' Rights Coalition.
We like to think of ourselves as advocates for the people in our community who can't speak up for themselves.
Staff from the coalition lead culturally appropriate responses at the Expo and shelters statewide.
Not all of the issues and things that they express can be answered immediately or in the long term, but we can do our best to help alleviate some of the concerns that they're facing right now.
Meanwhile, at Portland City Hall,
I'm not so sure we'll be able to meet everything that they're looking for just because of the volume of people that we're serving and because our shelters are maxed at capacity.
But city spokesperson Jessica Grondin says officials have increased time for showers at the Expo and are working with community partners for culturally appropriate food options.
And we told them that we would continue having conversations with them, that this wasn't a one and done situation, and so we remain committed to that.
A commitment to finding these asylum seekers permanent housing is a top priority.
And it just takes time to get there.
Another stressor, federal regulations restricting how fast asylum seekers can enter the workforce.
These are people that want to work. And what we're seeing across the state is that the state of Maine needs people to work.
Torres adding the people who already have workers permits
are able to contribute to their society and their communities through work, are living much more meaningful experiences in the resettlement process.
And Portland leaders are asking for more help from the state. One proposal includes turning dorms at Unity College into transitional housing, but there are more hurdles to clear before that project can move forward. The city is also working with private developers to find creative housing solutions, but again, those projects will need time to be developed. Zach and Chris.
Sam Rogers, thanks so much.